Well, we've got a really talented man with us tonight. He is an author. He's also the travel insider. You may have seen him on television. He's been on several programs, and he is usually on the Leo Laporte show, The Tech Guy. Please welcome to the Hey Techies Show, Mr. Johnny Jett. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for being on tonight. My name's Michael, and you really didn't meet the crew, but we got Bruce and the Guru.
Nice. So I saw you guys. Saw one of you guys' clips on YouTube.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, this is our 20th show, Johnny, and so we're really just kind of getting started, if you want to put it that way. But we're just three IT guys who work at a university, so we just thought we'd put this together for the community and start trying to do a tech help show, and so that's where it really started. But what I wanted to do is bring you on because I imagine, I know I've listened to you over the years, and I imagine a lot of people might not know your story. What I wanted to find out, how did you become Johnny Jett? What's behind being Johnny Jett?
Well, it's a long story, and I'll try and make it short for you guys. You can just cut me off anytime you like. But I grew up in Connecticut, and I used to be afraid to fly. Actually, I wasn't really afraid growing up. We didn't travel very much, flew maybe a handful of times. And then when I was in high school, I was diagnosed with asthma. And I talked my mom into going on this incredible trip, which is another long story, but my sisters were in Australia at the time. My first sister went there because she fell in love with an Australian guy at one of the Club Meds in the Caribbean. And so she went to Australia, and then my mom sent my other sister to go get her, and that sister fell in love with an Australian. So then this is when Crocodile Dundee came out.
Apparently so.
And I was infatuated with Australia, so I talked my mom into going on this incredible trip. And we never really traveled internationally at all, except in Canada. And anyway, so my mom brought me to the doctor for a checkup before our trip, and the doctor's like, "You're going to Australia? That's a 30-something hour flight away. You might have a hard time breathing because planes are pressurized." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, planes are pressurized? I didn't even know what that meant." So anyway, she put the fear of God in me, get to the airport, and I have an anxiety attack and say I cannot go. My mom thought I was joking. And when I started crying, she realized I was not joking. And she started crying because we spent all this money. And then my dad started crying because he was dropping us off, and he thought that he had his house to himself for 2 weeks. And so anyway, I became afraid not only to fly for a few years, but afraid to leave the house. Wow. And it turns out that it was this medicine that my doctor was giving me for asthma was giving me anxiety. And my parents were amazing. They brought me to all kinds of doctors, shrinks, psychiatrists, and finally my mom brought me to a homeopathic doctor, which back then was something totally out there. And the doctor's like, the thing is, you're on too much medication. So he started weaning me off, and sure enough, that took my anxiety away. And another long story, but I won't tell you, that I went to school in California, where I am now, fell in love with California, fell in love with a girl whose parents lived all around the world, and she only flew business class. And I never knew what it was like on the other side of the curtain, so she invited me the first summer to Singapore, and I was like, I can't do it. Not only couldn't afford it, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to breathe over there. And the next year, she invited me to Hong Kong, and I had to do it, but I wasn't going to sit in the back while she's up front. So I had to figure out a way to get a cheap business class ticket, and I did. I started studying, and I found one for basically the same price of coach. And I got to tell you, the time you want to have your first out-of-coach experience, you want to do it on a trans-Pacific flight, and it was amazing. And once I got to Hong Kong, I just fell in love with travel, got addicted to my miles, came back home. Internet was brand new. This is like 1995. I was working out of college. And right when I took the job as a college recruiter, everyone in the office quit. So all of a sudden I got all these territories. So, usually when you're a college admissions officer, you're just driving locally. But all the senior people quit. So I was going to Hawaii 3 times a year.
Wow.
New York. I was going to Florida, all over. And, and once you go up front, it's tough to go in the back. So I started learning all these different tricks and trips. And I would ask questions of flight attendants, business class passengers, because it just drove me crazy to watch these guys just roll right up in front of the line, these business class flyers, getting to sit in a nice seat and have a good meal. Bags come out first while I'm way in the back in the middle seat going, something's not right. And so I figured out, I started reading books and figured out a way how to do it. And then I started sharing it with all my colleagues, and then they started sharing it with their friends, and people started signing up to my email blast, and then I had a student worker create a website, and that's where I am today.
Wow.
Nice.
That's an amazing story. It just came out of not wanting to do it and really just trying to find a way to fly.
Yeah, and
right?
it's evolved over the years, and people started calling me up. My friends would call me up and say, within 3 months, we made the website. They'd call me up and say, turn on CNBC right now, your website of the day on Power Lunch. I'm like, you're joking. And
Wow.
USA Today wrote about it, and
Yeah.
it just took off.
Yeah, and I've heard you on many places, and
People started calling me for radio interviews, and then once you get a book, someone wanted to write a book about my website, and I was like, sure. And then he actually pitched Leo Laporte's the tech. Actually, no, it was I can't remember what the show was. Call for Help.
Yes, that's
it was
right.
one of his TV shows.
That's
so
right.
I went up there, and we filmed in San Francisco, and we hit it off. And so then I followed Leo around. I went up to his studio in Vancouver, and then he moved to Toronto for a show, and then he asked me to go on his radio show a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I guess we lost contact for a few years, and I guess he was Googling a cruise line that he was about to do, and my story came up, so he emailed me and said, hey, you want to come on the show? And I was like, sure. And I went on, and it went over well, and the listeners were kind enough to take me in.
Oh, yeah. He needed some travel advice, too, I guess.
Yeah, so now I do it every Saturday at 12:30 Pacific.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what kind of phone you go with?
I have an Apple iPhone 6,
okay,
but I used to have an Android. First, I had a BlackBerry. Then I went to a Microsoft Windows phone, and then an Android, and now I have an iPhone 6 just because my wife had one. We travel a lot, and would be in the line for security, and I couldn't bring my boarding pass up, or it wouldn't scan, and she would just search her email like lickety split, and it was embarrassing. It took me 5 minutes. I couldn't get my Android to function like the iPhone. So I exchanged it, and I've been happy ever since. They have all the apps that you could possibly ever want, and that's what you really need for when you travel.
Do you think you would ever go back to BlackBerry?
No, although I did have lunch yesterday with my old roommate from like 20 years ago, and he had a BlackBerry. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, I love it. And it was one of the newer BlackBerries.
Yeah.
But still, he says he loves it, but no.
He's holding on to nostalgia.
Yeah.
Now, for our listeners, real quick, because I know you got to run, what's one app that they would really need to have if traveling, in your opinion?
You know what? There's not just one.
Okay,
app. So
go ahead.
It all depends. I got a few minutes, by the way.
Okay.
But it's multiple apps. It all depends where you're going. But it's tough to live without Uber and Waze, which is all pretty mainstream. I'm sure you guys all know.
Oh, yes.
And use them. But I've used Uber all around the world. I use Waze around the world. And what I love about Waze is, let's say I'm in a taxi in New York City or Bangkok, and I can just type in. Actually, a couple weeks ago I was in Taiwan, and my wife looked at me like, "Is this guy taking us to the wrong place?" Because we were like down this dark alley. So I just typed in the address, and sure enough, I saw that we were really close to the hotel. He was just taking us down some side streets. So I love using Waze, not just for driving around my hometown and stuff of Los Angeles, but all around the world, so I can see exactly keep the taxi drivers honest.
Have you ever had any incidents where they weren't honest?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think everyone has. In Vegas, a lot of times they'll take you the highway, which is, technically shorter time, but it's also about $10, $15 more expensive. So, but New York City, these guys are all, they all try and take advantage of tourists. Not always, but a lot of them do. So you just got to tell them the shorter way, and that's what I love about Waze, because it tells you, the shortest time. And actually, I was in Toronto about a month ago, and I landed, and I had an UberX driver, and he's just saying, we're going to go this way. It's so much quicker. I go, no. Waze says, he's never even heard of Waze. And I was like, are you out of your mind? I was like, no, Waze says it's going to be the long way. He's like, oh, no, I know my city. Sure enough, we're sat in traffic for like 30 minutes, and I was just looking at him. I was like, you're going to get a 1 star.
So have you had luck with Uber?
Yeah, I use UberX all the time. 95% of the time, I love it. There are times when the app either tries to reboot, and I'm in a hurry, or, it says the driver is like 5 minutes away, and all of a sudden it keeps saying 5 minutes away and then 8 minutes away, and that happened a couple times. Like in London, a lot of times, the traffic's so bad, it'll say you're 5 minutes away, but they're really like 20 minutes away. And then in Bangkok, that happened to me, a few months ago, and I can't speak Thai, so I had the person at the hotel get on the phone and say, what's going on? It keeps saying 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and the guy just said he's in the worst traffic ever, and that it's just not moving. And so that's my problems with Uber a lot of times. And a lot of the airports don't let you pick up. Uber X doesn't pick up. And I always take Uber X because it's much cheaper than Uber, regular Uber.
Okay.
What about when Uber gets ready to do the self-driving cars? Are you going to be on board with that?
Listen, I'm all for that. And I took a taxi. I landed at LAX a few nights ago, and I didn't have Uber X because they're not allowed to pick up there. And I took a taxi driver, and they always give you attitude. And then the guy starts texting while we're just driving. I'm like, "Yo, dude," and we almost went toe to toe. I was like, "I'll drag you outside right now."
Yeah, I don't blame you, Johnny. That's dangerous, very dangerous.
Yeah. I go, I'm all for texting, but not while you're driving.
No, we agree with that here on the Hey Techies Show.
Absolutely,
a big no. Hey, oh my goodness! Well, our techie here can't seem to turn his phone to vibrate. Johnny, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you is about traveling. What about you? I know you've probably been keeping up with the news, obviously, but these airlines have been grounded, a few of them today.
Yeah, American, and I fly American a lot.
Yeah, I thought you did because I thought I'd heard you. What do you have to do to entertain yourself sometimes in some of these places when you're stuck like that? What's the best plan? I know not getting angry is a big deal. Don't get angry.
No, you need to pack your patience when you travel. And you got to, realize that things do go wrong, and but for the most part, they go smooth. So, stuff like that. I always have my phone loaded up with, not only apps and stuff like that. I have plenty of work. I have my laptop to do my work on. Make sure you have, all your batteries all charged up. But, I have a backup plan. So I'll have different, I'll know different hotels in other cities, or right when something goes wrong, like if there's a delay or cancellation, I use an app called TripIt. Do you guys know TripIt?
Yeah.
So TripIt, they have a free version and a paid version. The pro version, which is I think $59, is worth it for someone who travels a lot because they email you usually before the airline does to let you know that your flight's canceled or delayed, and that way it gives you a head start to try and get on another flight, because these days flights are flying at like 85% capacity, and it's really tough to get an empty seat. And so time is of the essence. So I go make a beeline right for a customer service agent. While I'm in line, I call the airline, and on the other hand, I'm tweeting the airline, trying to get them to help me out, and it usually works. No. Or I go to the airline lounge.
Yeah, I've heard you many times, and the one thing you always said I've heard you talk about is to be nice. That's going to get you further.
Rule number one, because if you're a jerk, these guys are not going to help you. If you're nice, they'll bend over backwards for you.
Yeah.
And I, usually, not always, I usually, try and travel with 3 boxes of chocolates, one for the gate agents, one for the flight attendants, and one for me. And, but these days, actually, I travel with GoGo passes, in-flight internet passes. The GoGo, they give me a handful of them because they used to be one of my sponsors.
Okay.
And so now I give the flight attendants, free internet, and they just love me.
Oh, I'll bet.
And it's great.
I'm surprised they don't get free internet.
They don't get it. I think they get like 50% off, but still, flight attendants do not make a lot of money. They start at like $18,000.
Oh man!
Oh wow! I thought it was a lot more than that.
Some of them, it's ridiculous. And so, people are jerks to these guys. It's so crazy that people are not friendly to the gate agents and the flight attendants. First of all, you should be friendly to everybody, but
oh yeah,
these guys can make or break your trip.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
hey, I got a friend I know that he's fixing to go to Spain. What's some advice about going over to Spain? Anything you can kind of tell him?
Yeah, one thing. Everyone loves Spain, but they do have problems, especially in Barcelona, where there's a lot of people getting mugged and robbed. So you really got to be really careful. Do not put your wallet in your back pocket. And this is, especially true in a lot of major touristy cities, especially Paris right now. Paris is having a really big problem. They even closed the Eiffel Tower down the workers closed it down for a day because they were so sick and tired of the police not doing anything about all these pickpocketers.
Good grief.
So you got to be careful. One of my writers, I have a bunch of writers who write for my website. One of my writers, she was with her husband, and they decided not to take a taxi at like 5 a.m. from their like the place they're renting. So they decided to walk out to the main street to get a taxi, and they got mugged.
Oh my!
And they stole their luggage, and she lost her passport, which is a passport overseas is worth about $5,000. So you have to think that your passport is $5,000 cash. So you got to treat it like that.
Wow.
So just make sure you you watch out, and especially going to ATMs. Don't go to any random ATMs. Don't do it at night. I usually go to the ATM at the airport, and I usually pay with credit cards for everything. So, you get the best exchange rate. You get miles and points and things like that. But you got to make sure you get a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees. And these days, it's great to have one that has a chip and pin.
What about phones? I've had a buddy that he loves T-Mobile.
T-Mobile's the best for international.
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
the best international. These guys, I used to rag on T-Mobile all the time, and then they just came out and they, over 120 countries. Actually, just today they announced they're even opening up, I think, South America and Europe for no borders. Because right now I can use my phone in Canada and Mexico like I am in the U.S. I can Periscope. I can, as much data as I want. I can use it as a hotspot. And now I think I haven't read the whole press release, but I just saw it in my inbox that you can do it in Europe and South America. And it's just amazing. For international travels, it's the best, but I was in Yellowstone National Park last week, and my T-Mobile did not work. But and one of my friends who was with me, she had Verizon, and it worked. So T-Mobile's the best for international. I'm not so sure about domestic.
Yeah. Well, I did want to mention, you mentioned your website, and I failed to mention what it is, JohnnyJett.com, and you can find a lot of great information there. I mean, I'm not a travel guru, by the way. I don't get to travel much, but I have went and seen it and looked up, what hotels might be somewhere. And there's a lot of great, there's a compare fare and a lot of great information there to help you not only book a place, but get book everything, pretty much the entire trip, right?
Yeah, and my big thing is that I have a weekly newsletter. That's how I got started, setting out a weekly newsletter, and now I have a daily tip. So every day I'm giving a different tip, and I have a deals newsletter, and so I send a deals newsletter usually about 2 to 4 times a week, depending if there's really good deals out. And it's amazing the deals you can find from major hubs like L.A., New York, Orlando. And even if you don't live in them, you can, still make yourself way to them and then buy those tickets, and it's still much cheaper. There's tickets right now. The other day I put a deal from L.A. to Bangkok for under $500 round trip, $485 round trip. I mean, literally,
man,
it's incredible. And you can buy Europe sometimes for $300 round trip. So, It's affordable, and there's ways to get out, and especially if you're a student and stuff, you can do Airbnb, you can do couch surfing. There's ways to travel the world and not spend a lot of money.
Now, what about airline miles? Is that really? I mean, does that work, or is that a ripoff for the most part? What I mean is, can you get enough up to go anywhere? Or?
Of course. So I always advise people, no matter what airline you're flying, or if you're just flying it for one time, always sign up to their mileage program and their hotel program. If it's a hotel, because some hotels will give you, just for signing up, they'll give you free Wi-Fi or a drink or something like that, or a mini bar. So always sign up to the rewards program. I just cashed in 36,000 miles 2 days ago for my wife and her mother, and that was 3 one-way tickets. And when you fly a lot, I can rack up 36,000 miles in one trip sometimes if I'm doing one around-the-world trip.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely worth it, especially if you fly American Airlines. American Airlines right now, they give you 1 mile per mile flown. And American and Delta used to do that, but now they've gone towards like Virgin America and Southwest system, which is 1 mile per dollar spent. So that's not great unless you spend a lot of money and you're a business class traveler. But if you're not right now, American Airlines is the way to go, although we're not so sure how long it's going to last because they're probably going to follow the other guys, the bad guys.
Well, real quickly, I know you probably don't have much time left, but I remember something that sparked my interest. You had a post the other day about VPN. Make sure you're using a VPN when you're traveling because of all we know. We talk about it all the time, Johnny, about all the hacking that goes on the Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi.
For sure, that was that was my daily tip yesterday. To stay away from the free Wi-Fi, and it's a big problem, especially all these hackers are going to all these different tourist spots, and they're doing it in airports. They're setting it up, Times Square, Vatican City, Hollywood, Walk of Fame, and especially stay away from the ones that say free, because they're the ones that are really suckering you.
Sure.
So I use a VPN. I just actually got my bill today. I get billed monthly by private VPN, private Wi-Fi. It costs $9.99 a month for me, and but I love it because when I'm traveling overseas in countries where I'm not supposed to be, using different sites, or like Facebook or whatever,
right?
You can do it, and I can also watch U.S. TV if I wanted to using a VPN. Because a lot of times if you're outside the U.S. you can't access news sites or Hulu or whatever. But with the VPN, you can.
Well, what about one of your favorite? I'm sorry, I'm having a mental block. I apologize.
No
What about one of your favorite airports? That's what I was trying to get at. What's your favorite international airport? Let's go with that.
Well, my favorite international airport. Well, tomorrow I'm actually doing a big shoot for LAX, and I love LAX because I know the ins and outs of it, and I live near it.
Yeah.
But my favorite international airport is probably Singapore Changi Terminal 1. Is it Terminal 1 or Terminal 3? And then also Hong Kong. I love Hong Kong's airport. KLM and Amsterdam is a nice airport. Copenhagen. Man, there's so many. They're mostly overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's international. But, I like T5. It's mostly terminals. It's not just one airport. In Spain, like Madrid, their T4 is really nice, but their other ones are terrible. So, and the same thing with LAX. Like right now, the best one at LAX is the Tom Bradley International. They spent almost $2 billion on it.
Wow.
But it's one of the best airports in America. That terminal, and the other terminals are getting work right now, but they need help.
Yeah, and you like LAX here though? That's one of your.
Yeah, for here, I also love Detroit. Detroit is a really good airport.
Now, one's just started under construction, right? Or some
where?
I think it was on your website.
LAX is always doing construction. That was one of my tips, by the way. Because they're doing construction at night, and it's a nightmare for people who do not know how to get around it. So you just got to leave extra time, and I mean that's pretty much my advice for everyone around the world. Always leave extra time to get to the airport. That time I was trying to get that Uber to go to Bangkok, I thought for sure I was going to miss my flight. And when you miss your international flight, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, what do you do?
So
one time I was in Shanghai, and I told the hotel where to tell the taxi driver where to drop my wife and I off. It was supposed to be at this one train station to take us on the high-speed train to the airport. He took us to the local train station, which is completely different. Ooh. No one spoke English. I don't speak a lick of Mandarin.
Yeah.
Or Cantonese. And so finally, I found it. I cut the taxi line, and I told the taxi driver, like, with hand signals, like, airport, and I was just, like, flying like a plane. And so he understood. And if I missed that flight, there wasn't another one for 3 days.
Oh, good grief.
So we were just like, put the pedal to the metal. And, he was unbelievable. But now now there's apps out there for that kind of stuff. So, instead of me doing hand signals, I could have just brought up Google Translate.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you use that, how accurate would you say it is? Enough to get your point across?
For sure. And I used to carry a book around in my bag where it had photos of everything. And now there's an app that does that as well. You could just, point to anything you're looking for, ketchup or hospital, knife.
Wow. So. Guru, you had a question, I think.
Yeah.
Real quick.
If someone is traveling domestically here in the States, by air, how long, the airlines usually say like 60 to 90 minutes before your flight. How long do you recommend someone be at the airport? Follow the airlines?
Again, it all depends on the airport. If it's a real small airport, I usually cruise up an hour before. But if it's a big airport, you want to give yourself time. So, 2 hours, you're fine. You don't need to be there more than 2 hours. But again, you never know what the construction is going to be like, or if there's huge security lines and things like that. It's better to be safe than sorry, because these days, if you miss a flight, it's tougher to get on another one. And the airlines are always looking for ways to charge you for every different way. And if you're going on a low-cost carrier like Spirit or Allegiant, they're going to get you up the wazoo.
All right. Yeah, I usually do about 2 hours early, but usually I fly out of Atlanta. That's usually the closest major airport from where we're at. So.
Yeah, and that's a great airport, but it's also one of the busiest airports in the world.
Yeah, plus we're like an hour and a half drive from there, so it's like you're getting up like at 4 a.m. to catch a 11 o'clock flight.
Yeah, that's crazy. But you can use Waze and see what the traffic looks like.
That's true. I have to start doing that.
So that's what I do when I always look at Waze, see how far I am from the airport, what it says, and go. But again, it's just better to be safe than sorry. Leave early.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, we thank you so much for calling our show.
Hey, I appreciate you guys thinking of me, having me on, and good luck to you guys.
Well, I really appreciate it. And look, you've got an open invitation anytime. You want to call us and tell us about something on your mind, pick up a topic about Airline.
I might take you up on it.
Yeah, you do that. Seriously, no, we're not kidding. We're just local boys here in Alabama now, Johnny, okay? If you're ever
right.
so we really appreciate it, folks. If you need this kind of information, JohnnyJett.com. It's a great resource. I really think that you'll really enjoy using it.
Absolutely,
Johnny. You have a great evening.
You too. Take care of you guys.
Okay.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kind of wanted to ask him about the TSA locks.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if he's still listening, I was just kind of curious, because I was going to ask him, like, when he's traveling internationally, does he carry bags that don't have zippers? Because I don't know if we talked about this on the show. I can't remember.
I think we did last week.
Last week was a blur.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, no kidding. Last week was a blur.
And one of my things is, like, it doesn't matter what kind of lock you have on there. If you have a zipper that's exposed, I mean, I can take a ballpoint pen, push through that zipper. I'm in your bag, and I can zip it back with the lock still attached, and you never knew. So I was just kind of curious what his take on that was.
Well, you're in luck because Johnny Jett called us back. So
oh, did he?
Bring him in.
Awesome.
So you called back.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, so you must have heard us talking.
Right when I was hanging up, I heard you guys say, I really wish I could ask them about the TSA locks. And,
yeah. And I did intend to, but I lost track of it.
No problem.
Well, what about that?
So, it's a problem these days because, someone someone took a picture of them.
Yeah. Right.
Took a picture of the keys, and now with 3D printers, you can make them.
Yeah, we talked about that last week on our show, actually.
Yeah, so what I would do, first of all, I don't check bags. That's rule number one. See, the best thing to do is not check a bag.
Yeah.
And believe me, my first trip with my wife, we were going on a weekend trip, and she showed up with a trunk like she was going on a And I'm like, listen, I like you, but I don't like you that much. We don't check bags. And she thought I was crazy because she's a girl. And then I showed her the light. I showed her how, you do not need to bring so much clothes. And now she actually packs less than I do. And sometimes I'm like, I really think we should check a bag. Wow. And she knows the benefits of not checking a bag. First of all, you don't get charged money.
Yeah, right.
Second of all, but we don't even care because we fly so much. They give us free checked bags.
Yeah.
The real reason is that you don't have to wait around for your bag to come out if it even comes out. You don't have to worry about someone stealing stuff from your bag. Although, there are reports that people do steal stuff on long flights in your carry-on bag. So you always got to keep an eye on that or lock it.
Yeah.
But also, if you're going to a city like New York, instead of sitting in a taxi for an hour or 2 hours during rush hour, you can just jump on the train and get into the city in 30 minutes. But you can't do it with a huge bag. So it's really, and also if there's a flight delayed or canceled, you can jump onto another flight, and you can't do that if you check a bag.
Right.
So there's 4 good reasons.
Okay.
But but sometimes we do have to check a bag, like we're going on a trip around the world in a couple weeks or less. And we're going to different climates, so this time we're going to have to check a bag. So, I have little ties, like those little plastic ties that electricians use or whatever.
We use them too.
Yeah, so you can use them on your bag. So that way, at least you know someone's been in your bag.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. I mean, if you've got an exposed zipper on your bag, I can take a ballpoint pen, push in that zipper.
Yep.
And then I can make it look like I've never, until you get in your bag, know that somebody's been in there. So I was going to say, do you have like a set of luggage that doesn't have zippers that's just kind of,
No, actually, I wrote about that and I forgot about it. So thank you for reminding me. If you just take the ball pet, you just do that. No, see, I haven't checked the bag. I checked the bag once in the last, year probably. It was for my wife.
No.
Yeah, well, she was starting to move stuff out to California slowly.
Well, that's a good reason.
My wife lives in Toronto. I live in L.A. We commute. That's why we never fight.
I think I heard that before you mentioned that.
Yeah, we don't fight.
Yeah. I'll bet you don't.
It's not bad living in another country.
Oh, that's
I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Yeah, I think you are, Johnny. Hey, real quickly, since you called us back, what about, have you ever had your TSA key cut? Have you ever had it cut? I guess I'm asking the wrong thing.
My TSA lock.
Lock. I apologize, lock. That's what
I actually, they didn't cut it, but they'd open it up. And I've had it, in the older days when I used to travel, with a bag a lot more. And there would be a note in there saying, we went through your bag.
Yeah.
But so they would go through there and stuff. And I've had stuff stolen out of my bag. One time I bought all this like macadamia nuts in Hawaii and stuff, and I get back and they're gone.
Oh.
So, but it's not bad. I you read about these Italians. There were like 20 Italian airport luggage workers. They all caught on video. They all had keys to different luggages. And they would sit in the cargo hold and go through everyone's bag and just take out. People would check money, jewelry. You never check your money, jewelry, cameras, or anything like that, or medicine.
I'd say about 90% of the time my wife travels, hers gets that note put in it that we've searched through your bag. I don't know what she's carrying for them to randomly select her every time.
She probably has like huge bottles of like shampoo or something.
She uses what the hotel provides.
But
I don't know if it's. I think she occasionally carries a straightener or something.
Yeah, the hair straightener could do it.
But
my wife carries one too.
Just about every single time she
it could be the hair straightener.
Well, out there in L.A., the traffic alone is probably worse than trying to fly somewhere, isn't it?
Well, you know what? L.A. gets a bad rap with traffic. We do have bad traffic, but these days if you use Waze, you can get around it.
Okay, Waze is in WAYS, right?
No, WAZE.
See, I knew I had it wrong. That WAZE. Okay.
Yeah, Google bought these guys. It's an Israeli company. Google bought them for $1 or $2 billion.
Good grief!
But it works all around the world. It's freaking amazing. I should own stock in it. My wife's like, I hear you say Waze one more time, I'm going to.
Oh my goodness! So she's not living in Toronto, or she's in the process.
No, she lives in Toronto.
Oh, she does.
And she's not here right now. That's why I can say these things.
I see. Yeah, not listening to this show, so you can get away with it, right?
Yeah, that's right. But she might be. You never know.
Yeah. Well, Johnny can call our show to tell us all the good stuff, so his wife's not listening. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, thank you so much for calling us back. We really appreciate that.
Hey, I told you I'd take you up on it.
You did.
You did. All right. All right. Well, have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey Techies Show.
The Hey Techies Show is produced by Mike Stedham and co-produced by The Guru. Station manager is Billy Dunn. Professional introductions by me, A. Announcer.